Okay, we appear to be all set. So welcome everyone to today's Tourism Sault Ste. Marie board meeting for October 22nd. Doing a quick roll call. We have representing the city and joining us today is Josh, Travis, and Alana, with Tara running the controls for the meeting. We have for the board at City Hall, we have Nick, Richard, Lawrence, Don, Melissa, and then online here we have both Jeff and myself. And it looks like we have a guest joining us with Deloitte for a presentation as well today. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes from the August 20th meeting? Any questions, comments, or concerns with regards to the minutes? Okay, I will ask for a mover for those minutes then. Lawrence, and a seconder, Richard. All in favor? And the minutes carry. Alana, I didn't see anything. Do we have any declarations of pecuniary interest in today's?
Yes, we had one come in for Lawrence for agenda item 6B, the Wishart
6B?
Trail award contract.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, I will move it over to Travis for our tourism update and to introduce our guest from Deloitte.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Beverly. So I'm going to introduce Clark in a second here, but just before I do, with respect to the dashboard report and specifically to the MAT numbers, these numbers, we are missing 2 large hotels for August, or sorry, for July and August, as well as one medium-sized one, I believe, for August as well, right?
Correct.
So those numbers are underreported at this point. We followed up with finance to fraud those 2 hotels. So hopefully at our next meeting, those numbers will be reconciled and we'll see a bit more money in our coffers. With that, I'd like to introduce Clark Hoskin. I believe most of you would have met Clark as he led the development of our strategic plan. It was during the development of the strategic plan that Deloitte did some analysis for us with respect to visitor spending. And we, as you are all aware, we revisited that this year with the collection of credit card and debit transactions for 2023. And on that note, Clark, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Travis. I hope everyone can hear me okay. And I'll ask Tara to share the PowerPoint presentation. Just have a few slides here for you to go through to just highlight some of the aspects of the analysis from 2023. So if you can just go to the next slide. Really appreciate the opportunity to do this work for Sault Ste. Marie. You guys have got a fantastic team and a great work plan in place and some excellent branding across Canada. And so data like this, I'm hoping, is of use to you as you plan out not only marketing, but product development or investment attraction, things like that. So this data came from Moneris, the leading provider of debit and credit card transactional information in Canada. It's the 2023 visitor year or travel year, and any of the data in the report referencing 2019 or 2022 data has been adjusted for inflation using the Bank of Canada deflator tool, so that we're actually comparing apples to apples rather than not. And with inflation the way it is or has been, I think this is super helpful. Just a couple of quick definitions. When we refer to the destination community, that's Sault Ste. Marie and specifically the postal codes that are listed there. And then we also looked at origin communities across Canada, so the various forward sorting areas, the first 3 digits of the postal code, and also international data at a nation level. Obviously, there's some limitations to the data, which I just wanted to mention. Obviously, Moneris doesn't cover all point of sale purchases, but a good number of them. So we project that out based on that situation. It also does not include cash. And in terms of online purchases, we've needed to pull in some data from the municipal accommodation tax revenue data to be able to estimate some of the overnight spending as well. Next slide, please. So overall, $894 million estimated spending, including domestic and international spending, and you can see the breakdown there. Often our clients ask us, why do we also look at the local spend? We just want to put that in context in the sense that often just understanding what consumers locally are spending on things is important, and where that fits into the larger picture. In the case of Sault Ste. Marie, we were asked to kind of remove the regional domestic market, which is the kind of circle around tourism Sault Ste. Marie, and report it separately. So the out of region domestic is the area outside of that circle, which includes all of Canada. So you see a $99 million annual spend, plus the $24 million from the international community. And then in the yellow boxes below that is the average spend per transaction. So international guests clearly spending a higher average transaction spend than other origin markets. Next slide, please. So some of the key takeaways that the report talks about, and there's lots and lots of information in the report, but I just wanted to highlight a few things. Your interest in the international visitors showed, a large number of countries visiting Sault Ste. Marie, with US, India, and China spending the most of any of the countries. In terms of that domestic out of region spending, we did note that Sault Ste. Marie has recovered from the pandemic in the sense that the spending that occurred in 2019 is now a 39% increase over top of that at 99 million. So that's definitely good news. Also regional spending, so that's circle around Sault Ste. Marie, also increased in 2023, not only from the previous year, but pre-pandemic. So both good news there. We've come up with a calculation for the average spend per 24-hour period of being for domestic out-of-region visitor parties being approximately $172. So certainly that can be helpful for any kind of calculations that are needed for the tourism industry. And then a couple of other key takeaways. One being that Sudbury is clearly the people of Sudbury clearly love Sault Ste. Marie, spend a lot of money in your community, and they outrank many provinces of Ontario as well as other nations of the world. So just an important thing to kind of point out there. And then that hardware and home furnishings led the retail spending side of their visitors. And so clearly these are folks who may have, second homes or recreational properties in the area. And so they're clearly purchasing things at those types of retail outlets.
Mark, can I ask you a question? That
Sure.
172 figure, so it says visitor parties. So is that like credit card, or is that estimated out of couple?
So that's so we consider the credit card or debit card holder being the visitor party. So in the sense that person who's taking care of the purchase is the kind of lead spender, right, of the party. So it's the parent of the family or the lead person in a group, that type of thing.
Except for when I look at myself, I spend money and so does my wife. So that's what I'm trying to get at is is it two cards or tied together, or is it just the one? So it's kind of important.
Just be the one. Right, Clark, it's just the one because we calculate the average spending per individual and then did looked at the STAR reports to pull the I think it was the average daily
Yeah.
room rate.
Correct. That's right. Sorry, I couldn't hear the first part of the question. So yeah, for that average spend, yes, as Travis says, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so next slide. So just in terms of length of stay, the Monera system is able to tell how long a credit card has been in a community between transactions, and so we see clearly for 2023 for the out of region, that darker orange line. The length of stays are higher in the kind of shoulder months, and then average number of nights goes down in the summertime, and there could be a variety of reasons for that, but it could just be that you maybe have more traffic stopping in to get gas or whatever in the summertime, and so that brings your average down. But that just wanted to share that information. That's something you can analyze further to see if that's helpful. But good to see that those numbers are up slightly, so that's positive. On the next slide, just average spend. So again, the out of region domestic, which is the green line lower down. So that shows your kind of sort of average visitor spend throughout the year, going up in August, September, and October. And then your regional spend per night is slightly higher than that. And again, those are those folks who maybe own property within the Sault Ste. Marie area and are spend or around the area and are then in the community purchasing, slightly more expensive goods. That could certainly be an explanation for that. Next slide, please. And then just the last wrap up around origin communities. I mean, I mentioned earlier Sudbury being an important origin community for tourism in Sault Ste. Marie, but you also see other Northern Ontario communities like Thunder Bay, like Espanola, like North Bay, Timmins mentioned here, and then some of the other Southern Ontario cities, Toronto, Barrie, London, Mississauga, playing a key role. Also Calgary showing up in the top 10 as well in terms of a top origin community. Next slide, please. And then finally, just in terms of your international origin countries, it shows the total estimated spending as well as the average spend per transaction. And so again, I think this is helpful information for any community to have, because you may have ideas around where people are coming from into your community, but to actually see who's spending the money is another thing. So again, as mentioned earlier, the US, India, and China leading the way there, but other countries in Africa, the Middle East, Europe, and the Americas and Asia also up high in those numbers as well. The larger report has much more detailed information on many other countries, but these are just the top 10. So. And with that, those are all the slides I have, but I'd be happy to answer any other questions you might have.
So thanks, Clark. And we will be sending out the more detailed report to the board. We just thought this was a nice way to get everybody kind of familiar with it before we sent it out. I don't know if anybody has any questions for Clark.
Cool. Clark, is the raw data available from Moneris as well?
We aren't able to provide the raw data. We're able to analyze the data from Moneris, but no, the proprietary data is not available.
No other questions?
No.
Going
All right.
once?
Well, thank you, Clark. We appreciate your time and your efforts in bringing the information forward for us.
All right. All the best. Take care.
Thanks, Clark.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
The one thing I'll touch on, so the 172, the number for average spend overnight. I know you were picking up on this. The overall, if you have multiple parties, that number is going to be a lot higher. But what we're doing right now when we evaluate our applications is we use 150. And we felt, part of the reason why we wanted to look at this is that number's been used for forever.
almost 10 years.
Yeah, so we wanted to kind of get a better sense of whether or not we should be increasing that value, decreasing that value, what have you. And so on a go forward basis for the TDF applications, we're going to evaluate it based off the 172, not the 150.
Yeah, that'd be fair. It's more representative.
I made the note on this application, are we gonna change that number?
Yeah. So we'll
But
do it on a go
but I
forward.
understand too, just to the point, I mean, if it's broken down per card. Yes, like there's gonna be, say, parties of 10 that each spend $172. And there's gonna be, say, a single person that spends an average of $172. So it does capture it, it just doesn't tell you the size of the party, the group, for example. And dynamics that they spend, so like, the only time I think that could be problematic is if you're assuming if each individual does that, it could be, the number could be skewed if, say, you had a large group that came in, spent a crap load of money. And averages it out amongst all other people, it doesn't make you, I kind of didn't use that number a little bit.
Mhm.
That's what I was trying to drill out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're never gonna have a perfect number,
No, I
but at
understand.
least we have something to point to as justification for why we're using that. And I don't know that we ever did, it was just kind of like 150 is the number that everybody uses, but you couldn't really figure
Yeah,
out
it didn't tell
where.
you where
But I think it comes from the Ontario province. I think they still use. 150.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been the kind of industry standard, 150 per person per day.
It still strikes me as quite low. I mean, if we're talking about people that stay overnight, particularly for events. So if you're booking a hotel room, I don't know what our ADR is now, but I mean, I think you're looking at just a hotel room is going to get you most of the way to 172 at this point.
I think the challenge comes in that it's one credit card, but you could put 4 people in that room, so it's going to change the average.
And I think
But that says 172 per party.
No, 172 per person.
So we can get you the,
I like on the
methodology.
PDF it says party, not person.
It's a good party.
Yeah, but didn't
but
he
the,
say
the
the card
party
holder?
refers to the card holder.
It's their
Okay.
definition of party is the person that holds the card.
Yeah, and I think on the in this summary, they also mentioned that the number doesn't include hotel stays because a lot of things are processed through our systems, like I don't know if you do it with ours,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not necessarily Moneris, or it's not necessarily captured because of how the payments are processed.
And where you host it.
This is what I understood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So yeah, so then theoretically you can say if the ADR is $150 and they're spending 172, right? In general purchases and stuff like that, I can see how you can say, well, the average spend is $300 instead of 150. I mean, I think these things average out, and I think we have a good start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay, we'll get the detailed report with the methodology for that. But yeah, and to be perfectly honest, it was that particular aspect of the report that caused the delay. I think I sent another one of my polite emails to finally move it along. Yeah, it's imperfect data, but it gives us a little bit more justifiable numbers to work with.
Be interesting to see if, for example, like when we have these events and stuff like that, especially the ones that claim high visitation number, which, and looking back and say, okay, well, if we look at the data, so you say, whatever, this percentage are internationals, or in this group, this percentage is in domestic outside of our market, if they kind of match up in terms of proportion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you'd want to be careful there with the Moneris data. So and we'd have to check with Deloitte or maybe Moneris. My understanding is that domestically, to be in the Moneris data set, you don't have to physically be on site. That can include online and over the phone purchases. But for international credit cards, you need to be in person. So they don't align in their methodology on how they match up.
Interesting.
I mean, that's part of why you see, I'm guessing why you see hardware and home furniture really high, is that it's probably some of that's people from, you know, down the road in Echo Bay or whatever, ordering something to Ashley's, picking it up and taking it back home.
Want delivered. Okay, anything else with regards to the visitor spending analysis? Travis, did you have anything else for us on the tourism overview and update?
I did not.
I have a question.
Okay.
It says we were awarded a mountain bike cup in 2025 in next June. How many people?
It would probably be comparable to the last cup 250.
Should be slightly better because it's not in the middle of high school exams, and it's leading into summer vacation, so 250.
We have to fit in a bid for that.
Just an expression of interest.
Exactly, and based off of our performance from the last one, we awarded. On top of that, though, we've now qualified for national bids, so we're looking out for those now that we posted a successful.
So this is the direct result of the successful run at our OCUP last year.
Right.
So the OCUP last year, they came, they evaluated everything. They said, yes, you, Sault Ste. Marie, have what it takes to run these. There you go.
Yeah, I think,
Excellent.
well, we're looking at a 2026 bid submission for a Canada Cup.
That's right. They haven't released the bid guidelines yet, but we're on the radar and we're on the mailing list and we're just waiting. I've had a call just to do the due diligence and I've been assured that we're on the mail out.
So we'll do some minor, we had the only recommendations, they want shorter loops. So there's a minor recommendation to shorten the actual length of the race course. And that will result in a, couple 100 meters worth of construction on a new segment to accommodate that, but it's pretty straightforward. So I think we will be reaching out to, we've got an individual who came up, who's actually now coaching, I think it was the Australian national team. So we're going to reach out for people that have come to the area and put on clinics or raced here for letters of support when we submit our Canada Cup submission. So hopefully that carries some weight.
Okay, with that, we will move over to the 2023 financial update with the financial update with the 2023 financial statements. Richard?
So, not sure whether everybody's got it. 2023 balance sheet, we had 813 in our bank account. $177,000 in accounts receivable, which we live in with respect to contributions towards our trails. Income wise, we had 570 or 558,000 for our max collections. The 479 that's showing on there for EDC is really contributions again for our trail systems that comes from different sources, I believe. In that particular year, the city would put in money and as did NYHFC. So down in general development, it's 951. Have to correct me on, I think it was Miss Marie would have been in there and the trail development, if I remember correctly. I think I know. I'm going from memory now, sorry.
It's okay.
So anyways, as a result of all those transactions, we had a deficiency of 179, which we knew going in because we taking dollars out of our surplus in order to do the trail system. So what we need is a resolution to adopt the financial statements. So we can move forward, which we haven't done yet, so. I'll move that. Or are you
Okay.
gonna do the resolution after?
Yeah, we'll do the resolution with at the end.
One other comment while we're talking about this is under the new provincial legislation, which we are now in as of today, I think. The new legislation, which is an Ontario piece of legislation for not-for-profits, you know, it requires us to upgrade our bylaws, but it also has a section in there where it talks about public sector entities and what we have to go through. Under the old legislation, which was for when we were under the corporate, we could have these are notice to reader financial statements, the lowest that you can have. We had a resolution that we can do these. Under the new legislation, we cannot. And so I believe that we should end up going with an audit. And so that'll be a next step. We probably should go to proposals.
What timeline would you do that on? Like,
So,
okay.
I mean, you're looking to do an audit on your December 2024 financial statements.
So just gotta wrap up the year, get our accountant to prepare the statements and then.
Well, I think it has, like I say, it should be an audit since we are a public sector board. And we don't, because of our revenue, we can't even do a review statement because in order to do a review statement, which was the next one down. You have to have revenue below 500,000, obviously. So it's kind of mandated in the legislation.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Does anybody have questions or comments for Richard with regards to the 2023 statements?
The only question I have is, how much do we have left on the committed funds that we committed multiple years? How many of those? I know there's still the Miss Marie, I think we did for 5.
5 was tourism development fund.
Commitments on the second or the last.
Yeah,
page,
it
November
gives-
2.
Yeah, it gives the amount, I just don't remember.
Oh, we had 187,817. Still outstanding. Can't remember exactly what those were. Well, Miss Marie was 50.
I think they're, that's TDF though. That's why I'm trying to figure out which ones we have in your TDF and which ones are. So bearing in mind too, these were 2023.
Yes.
The end of
So we had the
2023.
plaza, but I think
That's-
let us dig into this and get back to you rather than debating it.
I'm trying to think of what
on
year everything landed in. I
YouTube. So
think the plaza was one that was paid this year for 2023, so it would have been showing on this statement.
That would have been 100.
Yep.
let us dig into it and get back to you.
Okay, excellent. So we're gonna move on to new business. Number A is the Ontario Winter Games bid, so we will move into closed for that at the current time. And to do so, be it resolved that this committee proceed into closed session to discuss matters concerning confidential third-party information. Further, be it resolved that should the said closed session be adjourned, the committee may reconvene in open session to continue to discuss the same matter without the need for a further authorizing resolution. Municipal Act Section 2392I, a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to produce significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organization. Do I have a mover to move into closed? Dawn and Lawrence as a seconder.